Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday to all of you, and welcome in to GC Live here on Gamecock Central. Jack Veltri and Kendall Smith joining you live, hence the name GC Live. And we are so glad that you're joining us here today. We're going to talk a little South Carolina baseball. The season is officially underway, but Jack, it's been a couple of weeks since you and I have spoken. We've texted a little bit, but we haven't been on the show in a few weeks. So how has everything been since we last talked?
Yeah, it's been a few weeks since we've last done a show, and there's good reason for that, as we'll get into here in a second. But yeah, I've been doing good, Kendall, and you're right, baseball season is finally underway. And, I was asking Kendall today, before the show, what are we going to talk about today? And she's like, what about baseball? And I'm like, perfect, because there's not much football really going on right now. I think we've kind of worn out everything about the transfer portal and Shane Beamer, and we'll have more football to talk about here in a few weeks when spring practice gets going. But, yeah, it'll be nice to talk about some baseball here today. But the big question is, and I see we already have a comment about it here, how was Milan? Because if you did not know, guys, Kendall Smith, our very own Kendall Smith, went to Milan for the Winter Olympics last week, right?
Last week, yes. Yeah. I was there, and it was amazing. It is everything that you would expect it to be. First of all, I'm so grateful that I had the opportunity to go and to get the Olympic experience in that way. Like when you watch it on TV, obviously it's really great and it gets everybody involved. And here in America, we're all rooting on Team USA. But when you're there in person, it's just such a big scale of an event. I can't even describe it. I met so many people from so many different countries. I have friends that I met from Canada. They're probably not watching. Kevin and Cam, what's going on? I met a bunch of friends from Latvia, actually. So they were amazing. And just so many people that come from all around the world to the Olympics, and you get to meet them. And it is so cool. And obviously it's the best of the best athletes. This Olympics is very spread out, as I'm sure most of you already know because you've been watching it. So I spent some time in Milan, and then I spent some time in Livigno, which is even further north of Milan, actually right by the border of Switzerland. And that's where a lot of the skiing and the snowboarding happened. So I got to watch the big air competition and the slope style skiing, and obviously watched a bunch of hockey and figure skating. So it was just so cool to be there. The most unbelievable experience. I would recommend it to anybody. And I am getting a little bit nervous because Team USA men's hockey, they're about to play here in about an hour or so against Sweden. So I'm nervous about that. I don't know if anyone saw the Canada game a little bit earlier against Czechia. I genuinely thought that Czechia was going to win. So you never know in these knockout rounds what's going to happen. USA Sweden is coming up. The flight, when I went over there, I flew to London. So that was about 7 hours from Charlotte. And then from London to Milan, which was about 2 hours. So it was a really long day. I think I was up for 25 hours. By the time I finally went to bed in Italy, I was so exhausted. I don't think I'd ever stayed up that long consecutively in my life. And then on the way back, we flew from Milan to Madrid, which was about 2 hours, and then Madrid to Charlotte, which was about 9 hours. That actually took longer. Landed, went straight to a Charlotte Checkers game like an hour later.
Of course. It's right back to work after.
It was the greatest experience. I posted all about it on my social medias, my TikTok. I still have more that I need to post from it. But yeah, curling has been legit. I mean, we keep clicking it at the same time.
Sorry. I got you. We're good.
Curling has been so much fun to watch. They actually have the curling national championships happening here in Charlotte.
Really?
In 2 weeks. Yeah. So I think a lot of those people are going to be here. But the drama of the Canadian team,
I know.
What's going on? That is so dramatic. I think they were against the Swedish team, and they were yelling at each other and going crazy. So yeah, it's awesome. I love the Olympics, summer, winter, whatever it is, always watching on TV. It's been great. So here's to many more to come, and hopefully more opportunities to go there and cover the Olympics in the future. That would be great. So
now you were just there as spectator, right? You weren't there covering the Olympics, correct?
Yeah, so I was there spectating for the most part. I did a little bit of work because we have 10 former Charlotte Checkers that are actually playing in the Olympics for hockey.
Wow.
And one of our players from this season is actually on Team Latvia. So that was very exciting. He had recently been called up to the Florida Panthers, but he had been with us all of last year and the majority of the season. His name is Sandis Vilmanis. So that was great. I was at the Team USA Latvia game. And then just by this is just my nature, I think, as a reporter, I'm constantly looking for stuff. So at the end of that Latvia USA game, there was a moment between Sandis Vilmanis and Charlie McAvoy, who plays for the Boston Bruins, who plays for Team USA as well. And I don't know if anybody had seen, there was this viral post that McAvoy put out at the opening ceremonies. His entire jaw, I believe the right side of his jaw, was completely blown up. And then next to it, he put a video of Vilmanis hitting him in the middle of a game that Florida and Boston had recently played. So it was kind of big drama. Everyone was like, that was an illegal hit. He didn't get, called for it, whatever. At the end of the game, they were shaking hands. They were making up. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to take out my phone and just take a quick picture. And I did. And it ended up going kind of viral. And a lot of hockey crazy outlets and stuff were looking at it. So I feel like that's always where my mind is. Even if I'm there just spectating, I'm looking for the storyline no matter what. So that was kind of fun.
I love it. Yeah, we thought about having, I think you floated the idea of doing a show in Milan. But the thing is, it's 6 hours ahead. So when the U.S. plays hockey against Sweden at 3, it'll be 9 p.m. there. And I can imagine that was also a big change. And I promise we're going to get into talking South Carolina here in a little bit. But again, how often do you get to go to the Olympics and get to hear about it? So, I think it's fascinating, to be honest.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a big change, but coming back, I'm still struggling a bit. I've been back for 3 days and right now, as you mentioned, it's 8:23 in Milan. So I'm starting to get a bit tired. My midday slump is hitting me because I was just used to being there at that time. So so grateful for the experience. I already want to go to France in 2030. I would love to go to LA. I mean, it's in America in 2028. So you go. So anyone that's thinking about it, do it, because the camaraderie there is also so cool. Like I said, just the people that you meet from different countries, the coolest thing ever. And I have so many great memories that I'll look so fondly back on for many, many, many years. So Milano Cortina did it right. Shout out to Italy and shout out to Team USA. Keep bringing home the medals, everybody. You guys are doing a great job. I saw Michaela Schifrin won earlier today. Gold medal.
What is the medal? Because every time driving in Colombia on the billboards that change here, they have the Olympic medal count. I think last time I saw it was up to 5 gold medals. What are we at?
I'm not quite sure what the count is, but the last time I checked, I think the top 3 were Norway by a significant amount. Italy was in second and USA was in third.
Okay.
We got a big chance to win another gold tomorrow. Shout out to the women's hockey team.
They're playing Canada tomorrow. All right. So there's 7 gold medals right now, 11 silver, and 3 bronze. So 24 total. So, and yeah, you're right. They do have a good chance. I think the hockey teams have a good chance of.
Women's hockey is crushing it.
It's nuts. When they shut out Canada 5-0.
They have the longest streak right now for not allowing a goal, I think, in Olympic history or something along those lines. It is unbelievable. They're really, really, really good, and they're so much fun to watch. Yeah. And I've been loving that. And then the men's team, they're doing okay. They need to pick it up a little bit.
They're doing pretty well. I think
they're doing.
That game against Latvia could have been 10-1.
The amount of the called back goals.
Brock Nelson probably should have had a hat trick, and more. It was insane. But I think they've been playing all right.
They've been playing all right. I thought leading up into this Canada game against Czechia that they were rolling, and then obviously they got a little bit of reality check today going into overtime. So that was interesting. So we'll see. Everyone wants Canada USA gold medal game, and obviously that would be a good one to watch, but I may lose years off my life watching that. That will stress me out.
All right. Let's get into some Gamecocks.
Let's do it. Okay, everyone, thank you for our spill on the Winter Olympics. Keep watching, keep supporting. It's been awesome. Okay, Jack, baseball. Win last night, first midweek game of the year. This past weekend against Northern Kentucky, South Carolina takes 2 out of the 3 games, which for a lot of fans, it's not good enough. You expect a weekend sweep on opening weekend against Northern Kentucky. I'm just curious what you made of that series, and especially that last game, because it's not like in any of those games. I mean, obviously South Carolina lost the last one, but it's not like in any of those games South Carolina was particularly dominant if you just look at the final score. So your thoughts?
Yeah, no, you're right. Like, I think South Carolina fans have a right to feel frustrated about that weekend series because it's odd because you won the series, but you lost the last game and you didn't play particularly great. Now, it was 3 games, right? You're only 4 games into the season. You still got 52 to go. So I'm not going to make any final observations on what this team is and what they aren't. And I suggest anyone listening don't do that either, right? My thought is I don't think they played great. It took a comeback in game 2 of Friday's doubleheader to walk it off and win, which was a great game. Don't get me wrong, great game. But you were trailing most of the way against Northern Kentucky. And then on Sunday, you couldn't buy a hit with runners in scoring position. And I think that's the biggest issue with that weekend was they just went 4 for 30 with runners in scoring position and 10 for 47 with runners on base. Those were all things that South Carolina really struggled with last season. And as a result, they had the year that they did. And I think there's a little bit of people are on edge because of what happened last year. And they're just not very confident that the team's going to be any better in 2026 as long as Paul Maneri is the head coach. Now, I think they played really well last night. I think getting that game against Wofford where you get a really nice pitching performance from Connor Ciccoli, and then after that, you get 8 runs on 10 hits. You hit really well with runners in scoring position. I can't remember the final number, but I think they went 5 for 11 with runners in scoring position. So that's really good. Mm-hmm. And granted, but Wofford's a good mid-major program. So it's not like they're doing it against a bad program. And I don't even think Northern Kentucky's a bad program. But, now I think people are a little worried of how this is going to look when they're playing Clemson next weekend or they play the SEC competition in a few weeks. So overall, it's 4 games. I think South Carolina has played all right. Last night was certainly their best game of the year. They're playing here in about an hour and a half against Gardner-Webb, and I'll be over there at Founders for that. Hopefully they can continue to play that type of ball they played last night. But, yeah, definitely the runners in scoring position, I think, just not dominating because, Kendall, covering the Knights, it's like you're not going to run rule teams and you're not going to score 10 runs every game. But, you're going to have some close games, and South Carolina found a way to win 2 of those games, but couldn't win that 3rd game and bounce back last night.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing about baseball, and I think more so than any sport, it's the one where you don't hit the panic button right off the jump because baseball is so different from day to day, and it just depends on pitching matchups and kind of what's going on from that standpoint that can really dictate the way that a game goes. So that's why though South Carolina did lose to Northern Kentucky in one of those 3 games, and obviously that's not a great thing, not immediately do you want to sit there and say, okay, like season's over, we'll wait until next year. Like baseball is just unique in that sense. And I feel like we'll continue to have those reminders as there probably will be a game in a midweek competition at some point in the season that South Carolina drops that they probably shouldn't have lost. We saw it happen last year as well. And so that just is the nature of baseball, and it's not necessarily an excuse, but it is what it is. Speaking of excuses, though.
I'm glad you brought this up because I was about to cut back and talk about it. Glad you brought this up.
This was the quote of the weekend, and not necessarily in a great way, in my opinion. Paul Maneri said something to the effect, and you can 100% quote this for me, Jack, that South Carolina's baseball team was tired and sore, which, if you hear that in April, you're like, okay. I mean, it's a strenuous schedule. And if you're hearing that about a pitching staff, especially, you're like, yeah, that makes sense. But it's opening weekend. So to say that the team is tired and sore probably came as a little bit of an alarming statement to people tuning in because you don't want to hear that about your team when the season's just starting. If they're tired and sore now on opening weekend, how are they going to feel in a month? How are they going to feel in 3 months? What'd you think of that, Jack?
I had to make sure I was hearing that correctly. That was I'm like sitting here laughing just thinking about how insane that was to say on opening weekend. Because Kendall, it's It's 3 games into the season when Paul said that, and it was coming off a doubleheader, which, okay, yes. Anytime you play a doubleheader, that's a very long day of baseball, and it's 18 innings. A lot of those guys that played on Friday played in both games, and it's probably a lot. Same time, 2 teams are playing that doubleheader, and Northern Kentucky didn't play great on Saturday, but they made enough plays, and clearly they didn't look tired enough to the point where they ended up winning that game. So I thought it was a bit ridiculous to say that out loud. All he had to do was just leave it at, we didn't hit well with runners in scoring position. I didn't do a good enough job. That's on me. That's it. Leave it at that. But of course, Paul Maneri being for better or worse, he is the gift that keeps on giving, because he will give you a great quote. But sometimes he just says things that he says whatever's on his mind. And that is, he's authentic as they come. In my time on this beat of just covering South Carolina, that's what I've noticed, is that he has no filter. And when he said that, not a surprise. He threw players under the bus quite a bit last year, intentionally or not. And yeah, it's not a good look. And I think if that hadn't been said, I think people would have been like, all right, they lost on Saturday, but whatever. It's not the end of the world. Because of what happened last year, plus the fact that they lost on Saturday, and that he said that, I think that became a bit more alarming for people that were already a little frustrated with Saturday's game.
Do you think he said it because there was a doubleheader on Friday?
Well, he mentioned that specifically, like the guys were tired, from the doubleheader. Like he mentioned specifically that there were a few guys he was texting with after the doubleheader, and some of them were saying they were like really sore and whatnot. They didn't take batting practice on Saturday. And Kendall, you could speak to this covering the Knights. I mean, I don't think it's, the more I've thought about it, I thought it was a little nuts how they decided not to take BP when they hit as poorly as they did at times with runners in scoring position. But they ended up taking batting practice in the cage, underneath the stadium. So it's not that big of a deal as it probably, has been made out to be. But still, it's like, it's not a good look when you're immediately regretting, like, yeah, we probably should have taken BP on the field and whatnot right after the game. It's just, I don't know. And he even talked about how he didn't really change it. Like, it was the same lineup as what he had on opening day. So he didn't really shift the lineup around. And keep in mind, these are all things he decided to do the next game against Wofford. Like, he changed up the lineup a lot. I think I got to Spartanburg a little after I think they took BP yesterday, but I'm assuming they took BP, and they hit a lot better with runners in scoring position. So everything that went wrong on Saturday, they fixed on Tuesday, and you kind of hope that not necessarily the players need to take it as a challenge or anything that they, didn't really, they were tired or whatever on Saturday. But I think they kind of need to just take it like, yeah, we need to like play really hard, moving forward, and, no more excuses, right? Because I mean, it was crazy to hear that. Like everyone thought 2 games into the season, and you're hearing your head coach talk about, yeah, we're tired on opening weekend when you got 50-something games left to go. It was a wild statement.
Yeah, I would say, just speaking from it and like being out at batting practice every single day from 3 weeks from now or 2 weeks from now when I go to spring training to end of September. It at the beginning of the season, at least this is how I have experienced it within the Knights organization, the White Sox organization. They're taking batting practice outdoors essentially every day. They might go inside once a week. However, they're playing 6 games in a row and having 1 off day. So I understand that this is professional. So their full-time job is to come to the baseball field. I understand that these kids have class and there's other things involved with being a college athlete. But it is interesting to me that was the case. And I don't think that it's concerning that he was being honest. Like, Jack and I love that. Like, be honest. Like, if the team is tired, it's not him defending his players. It's concerning that he is saying that. Like, they shouldn't.
They're tired after 3 games. Like, I cannot remember a time ever hearing that. Then again, there's a lot of things that Paul Maneri said that I've just like kind of like cannot wrap my head around. But this was one of them for sure that I'm just like, what are we talking about here? You're tired? Like, it's okay. It's okay for guys to be tired. Let's not get that twisted. but just don't say it in a press conference, because now it makes you seem like that's why South Carolina lost on Saturday, was because, oh, they were tired. But if we weren't tired, we would have played a lot better. No, it's not why you lost the game. You lost the game because you couldn't hit you went 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position. You get one hit at the end of the game. Nobody's talking about being tired, but that's not what happened. And and now it makes you think, like, going into Tuesday's game. I think one of the storylines was, okay, how's South Carolina going to handle the back-to-back games they're playing on Tuesday and Wednesday? Mm-hmm. Like, it's going to be like this the entire year. They have another doubleheader coming up in March against Princeton. So they're going to be put in situations like this throughout the year where their stamina is going to be tested, and they're going to have to really, suck it up, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Well, that's just the nature of baseball. I mean, doubleheaders happen all across the sport at many different levels. So that is just what it is for baseball. But you were talking about hitting, and let's talk about hitting a little bit, because I think that, well, you guys should go over to GamecockCentral.com and check out Jack's mailbag about the baseball team. He answered some of your questions. I was able to read up on it. One thing that I took away from it is that Jack says it's too early on to make so many concrete predictions, which is valid. I won't give him a hard time for that. But Jack, let's talk about the hitting, because one of the questions that was in that mailbag, which I thought was interesting, was about Maneri and just how much money he makes, and, how he's expected to bring in these results for South Carolina from a hitting standpoint that are top tier, highest caliber, very, very good. And yes, it is so early in the season. Like, it feels crazy to even be saying this, because guys, for lack of better term, and no pun intended, are getting back into the swing of things. But I'm curious, do you feel like South Carolina underachieved maybe from what you expected through these first 4 games from a hitting standpoint?
I hate to use the line. It is too early to say one way or the other how this is going to look.
Well, not how it's going to go in the future, but just
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. So, I'm looking at the stats that Gamecocks Online has. It's only updated to 3 games for some reason, so I don't know why it's not updated for the 4th game yet. I'll say this. The weekend wasn't great. You didn't hit well with runners on base. We know that. You hit a few home runs. That's fine. You actually walked a good amount. You had 15 walks and 15 strikeouts in that opening series. I'll say South Carolina really did a good job last year of cutting down the strikeouts. They only had 1 strikeout in the first game of the weekend series, which was really nice. And I think they've only had 1 game with double-digit strikeouts, and that was on Saturday against Northern Kentucky. So besides that, they've kept the strikeouts down and are getting on base and walking a lot. And that's going to happen when you're facing this type of pitching, where you got just a lot of guys being thrown in there, and some of them can't command the strike zone. And that's when you're taking advantage and getting on base. Overall, how would I assess the offense? It's been all right. I think we've seen guys actually take steps in the right direction. Talmadge LeCroy has gotten off to a really nice start this season. He had 2 hits last night and a home run. KJ Scobie went 4 for 5 last night, and he obviously had the walk-off home run on Friday. Tyler Bach has been as advertised. They've gotten production out of a few guys. You're still waiting for some others to really come along. I think Dawson Harmon's one, Ethan Lozama, Patrick Evans. Those are some of the new guys, I would say, that you're kind of waiting for to really break out. And there's some others as well, but it is 4 games into the year. It's such a small sample size. But make no mistake about it, I think there's a lot of pressure on Monty Lee to get this offense back on track, because last year was not good enough. Yes, you struck out a lot less, but you did not hit for any power. Your offense was basically bottom of the SEC in a lot of metrics. And you go into this offseason, did a heck of a job bringing in a lot of talented players to really up this offense a little bit. But if the results are similar or worse to last year, as I mentioned in my mailbag story, then some questions need to start being asked about, what's going on there, because something would obviously not be working with the hitting approach if they're continuing to have the same results over and over again. But 4 games in, I like some of what I've seen so far. But the biggest thing for me, Kendall, they got to hit better with guys on base. And we saw that last night, but it needs to be like that a lot more consistently.
Absolutely. Jack, before we keep going, Clint Hammond, our great sponsor of this show, GC Live. We love Clint and all that he does and really appreciate him.
Of course we do. Yep. Clint Hammond of CMG Home Loans. Give him a call. 803-422-6797. NMLS number for him is 71597. Or go to clinthammond.com for more information. If you are looking to buy a home, need help with your mortgage, any of those housing needs that may seem really confusing, especially for like the first-time home buyer, go to Clint. Get in contact with him. He will clear up that process for you. Any confusion you may have, he'll help you out and get you on that path towards buying that dream home. He's been in the mortgage industry for over 20 years now. He's a lifelong Gamecock fan and a longtime supporter of Gamecock Central and all of our GC Live programs. So once again, all that info is above us here on screen if you are watching live, but definitely give him a call. Get in touch with him, clinthammond.com for more info.
Okay, Jack, tonight, Gardner Webb, or this afternoon, I should say, 4 o'clock, first pitch. And then this weekend, a really cool weekend, actually. South Carolina will host Army, Navy, and Air Force in the Salute the Troops weekend. So Friday against Army, Saturday against Navy, Sunday against Air Force. I think that's so cool. And I am jealous that you get to be there for it because, like, what a weekend. How neat is that to have those service academies coming to South Carolina, playing each one on a different day. I know that that'll be a great time. Just, take the baseball side, and whether South Carolina should win or should lose, that's really awesome that that's happening.
Yeah, I've actually been working on a longer piece that's going to be coming out tomorrow just about how it all got set up because it's actually interesting. And again, it'll be referenced in the story that I have coming out tomorrow. But Paul Maneri's been doing this since he was at Notre Dame back in the 90s. He's always and again, he coached at Air Force back in the 80s and 90s. So he has some history there with the service academies, but he's always wanted to have all three come play at his school on the same weekend. It's only happened once. He's gotten Air Force and Army to come out a handful of times, but Navy for reasons that I'll have explained in story tomorrow. But a lot of cool things coming this weekend with that. Hopefully the weather holds up. Number one, there's supposed to be the Wings of Blue from Air Force. The parachute team will be dropping for all three South Carolina games. It's going to be a lot of fun. They're going to do some really nice tributes for the service academies. It's going to be really awesome nonetheless. But I will say, Kendall, in talking to these three coaches at the service academies, you think the SEC games are tough. They are all alone just based on the fact that you're playing a lot of ranked teams this year. But you may not get any bigger challenge than taking on Army, Navy, and Air Force, which are as competitive as you will find. And that's going to be a challenge for a South Carolina team that, keep in mind, just a few days ago was really tired and sore. So if that's how they're going to play this weekend, they may not play particularly great, may win the game, but it won't be close, or it'll be a lot closer. But you're hoping South Carolina can kind of play the way they did last night. It would be really impressive, I think, for them to go 5-0 this week because you got the back-to-back games yesterday and today, and then you get the weekend against the service academies, which is no small. It's a challenge for sure.
Absolutely. And we've, talked about this across multiple sports, just when you play service academies like that, just the discipline that they bring. You obviously mentioned the competitive spirit as well, but I do think that that is super cool. And then we'll talk about this more next week, but the following weekend, South Carolina and Clemson, and there's like no waiting. That's what I love about the baseball schedule. It's like, nope, like we're not waiting. Like you're 2 weeks into your season, let's go. Like obviously for football, they make you wait a little bit longer. Basketball is different too, but baseball, it's like right off the jump, you're taking on Clemson. So South Carolina also needs to build its confidence over these next few games because they do have a massive matchup next weekend against their in-state rival. It's going to be a big one. It's going to be a fun one. So that's something we'll certainly highlight next week as well. But I think the biggest point from us here today is just don't panic yet. Yes. Don't panic yet. It's not great that South Carolina lost to Northern Kentucky, but it's baseball. It's going to happen. You're going to have losses that you shouldn't have, and it's just something that you've got to deal with. The biggest thing for South Carolina that we hope going forward is that they're not feeling tired. We hope for a little bit better results offensively, but you've seen some bright spots here, and I think that that's a big thing to point out is that you have seen improvements from South Carolina. You want to continue to see them perform well in terms of runners in scoring position, RISP. It's been good. Yesterday, you can downplay it all you want. It's a midweek game. South Carolina is playing a school that they should absolutely beat. But again, in baseball, it is just so unique where you can have these midweek games and they can really trip you up. So good on South Carolina for winning yesterday. We'll see if they can do it again here today against Gardner-Webb.
Yeah, they've done really well in midweek games. I was looking last night, 13-1 last year in midweek games. They only lost to North Carolina, right where you're sitting there, Kendall. And we were both at that game last year. And then this year, 1-0 so far. Gardner-Webb today, I think they should win that game. We'll see what the lineup looks like. I am interested to see that. And I know Bradley Hodges is starting today for South Carolina. Again, pitching was really good yesterday. Hodges was supposed to start yesterday, according to Maneri, but he struggled a little bit in the preseason, so he got bumped back for today. So we'll see how he does. Looking forward to getting over there. And again, check out GamecockCentral.com, the Insiders Forum for live updates, coverage, all that stuff. It's your one-way, stop or
one-stop shop.
Yes, there we go. Thank you. I'm not good at the little catchphrases.
One-stop shop. How about for cars? Our friends at Ferry Chevrolet, Jack.
Ooh, good transition there, Kendall. I like that. If you are a Gamecock fan who's interested in a new or even perhaps a used vehicle, make sure you check out our friends over at Ferry Chevrolet in Orangeburg. They're led by a fourth-generation dealer in Joseph Ferry. The family-owned business over at Ferry Chevrolet has been serving the community for 100 years now, since 1926. Conveniently located just off of I-26 between Columbia and Charleston, the folks over at Ferry Chevrolet are local, trustworthy, and always transparent. The business began in St. Matthews and was built on honesty, integrity, and a handshake, and they still operate with those same principles to this day. Head on over to ferrychevrolet.com today to check out their inventory and to get in touch.
All right, everybody, a little bit of a quicker show here today. We do apologize, but Jack, again, has to go over to Founders Park. So this won't be the last that you hear from Jack today. He'll be over on the Insiders Forum, and he'll be writing you some stories, and he'll be chatting back and forth all about what's happening with South Carolina baseball. I'll be tuning into the score there, but if you want to chat with me about what's going on in the Team USA Sweden hockey game, then you can catch me on that one, because that's what I will be tuning into here in about 20 minutes. So thanks, everybody, for joining us on the show. It's been fun with all of you, as always. We will see you back here next Wednesday. This has been GC Live here on Gamecock Central. For Jack Veltri, I'm Kendall Smith. Have a great day, everybody.